Hi, I'm Anthony Glenn, Makeup Department Manager here at HellsGate Haunted House.
And I'm Johanna, Costuming Department Manager here at HellsGate Haunted House.
Today we're going to teach you about darkness.
Darkness basically embodies a visceral, dark spirit that was released from the gate.
It's this dark, kind of sinewy, nasty, slimy kind of situation, and anything it touches and it infects. It's a great way to tell a story and to push a narrative through the entire location. We're going to teach you how to make it with makeup, silicone application, and great stuff.
You too can dress your humble abode
with darkness.
Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Going to start off by doing a large silicone buildup on her face. We have a 2-part silicone. We dole them out in very carefully measured equal portions. And I'm going to add a little bit of this product 5X here, which is going to quicken the cure on the silicone. So we'll paddle back and forth, making sure that the 2 parts are very evenly distributed. I'm going to add this silicone bonding black pigment to it, which is going to give us a nice jet black glossy silicone to work with. So I'm going to continue to paddle this mixture until I notice that the consistency of the silicone begins to become a little bit less fluid. We call that when the silicone is kicking. That's the point in which we'll want to begin to apply it to the actor. So as you can see here now, this silicone is beginning to kick. Its viscosity has gotten a little bit thicker. When I pull it off my paddle, it hangs tight and holds its shape a little more. So now it's time to apply it to the actor before it kicks all the way and I can't use it. So I'm going to start out by building some large mounds, and I'm just going to snake out some tentacle-shaped trails coming out of the larger mounds. Very similar to some of the patterns in which you'll see demonstrated in our sets. Create little holes and crevices and pull the silicone away. I'm just going to airbrush in some black veins continuing to crawl across her poor little face. I'm going to try and leave some white space just so that you can read the contrast in the dark. The very final touch to give our actors that rotting from the inside look is to give them tasty treats, such as food-grade color. I'm going to give her her own can of this here, just so that it's sanitary, and a fresh Q-tip. And with a little bit of spittle and saliva, very quickly, her entire mouth will be tinted a grisly shade of black. Sometimes, though, you need just a little bit more of a chunk. We turn to a classic standby, applesauce. We'll use the same food-grade color, and just mix it up. And now you've got a tasty treat for any cocktail party. Your neighbors will be talking about it for weeks.
What we like to use here is very similar to what we used in the makeup demo, is a 2-part silicone. We've thickened it with a thickening agent and put pigment inside of it to make it this kind of shiny black. I'm going to take a dollop of it, place it right on where we want to put the first amount, just to adhere the cheesecloth. The cheesecloth is what we're using to create this kind of sinewy, almost like it looks like it's dropping out into like a fountain. So she's going to adhere it first, and then I'm going to go in with a good handful. I'm going to wring it down and really saturate the fabric. You really got to work it in, but once it cures, it creates this really fun, sinewy kind of texture. The idea is to make this fabric look as much like liquid as possible. So it's pouring out of the basin like it's coming out of a surface and then going out into the floor, infecting the house above. Now we just wait for about half an hour to an hour for the silicone to completely cure. And once it's cured, we can continue to apply more or leave it as is. We're starting to build tendrils of the darkness that's exploding out of the pit in the basement and going up into the house. And so we need to build these darkness pieces out of something that's a little bit more rigid but flexible. What we've chosen to use here is a copper pipe that's very bendable but still very rigid, so we can actually use it to take a lot of different kinds of shapes. We're going to cover the whole thing in great stuff. It's an expanding foam you can get at any hardware store. I try to make sure it rests right on top so it doesn't actually fall off, so that we can get a nice good tendril out of it.
The great thing about great stuff is that after it's set, you can carve it, you can shape it, you can chip it off. So you're not really committed to where it ends up landing.
Great stuff has a really great stick to it too. So once it starts to cure, it'll stay on, it won't come off.
You can see this foam's no longer tacky, it has finally set up. So now, we're just going to take our simple chip brush here. This is just latex house paint. And we're going to go ahead and just dab this black color in, make sure we fill all the crevices. In this case, we're just using flat house paint, but oftentimes when we're indicating that something has been infused with the darkness, we'll come back and we'll add a semi-gloss or some kind of glossy, shimmery top coat to give it that slimy, tentacle-y kind of aesthetic.
So now that our darkness is sufficiently dark, let's go install it in the house.
Shall we?
We shall.
System shut down.
And there you have it, folks. All flavors of darkness have now been installed here in the new Dragon Room at Hell's Gate. As you can see, we have our lovely darkness tendrils, we have our darkness silicone slime, as well as our darkness infected actress. Now all of these elements can be tinted any sort of color or spiced up to fit any sort of scene you're creating in your haunted house.
Absolutely. So if you have these tendrils in your haunted house, you can color them like roots, or like intestines, whatever you need. Same thing with the silicone. You could tint it green. You could do whatever you need for like a toxic situation or like kind of swampy goodness.
And that's how you make darkness.